We got a big old DRW in here. Mobile Suites. This is a big coach. This is the center of our building, right there. And there's a 100-foot building. And this thing's sticking over. I got a platform in the back, but this thing's like 45 foot. It is huge. So we're going to, you can see we got it all wrapped up. That's what we do. Get everything all protected first. So we're going to go up there and take a look at this roof and show you what we got. Well, this is our DRW, our mobile suites. There you can see right off the rip, right here. You can see the color difference. But more on. I just want you to just slobber it on there. But this, I'm going to see if I hold the camera steady, because all they do is put some staples in there. It's not glued. So the problem is they just pop loose. But you can tell this roof is already just kind of shot. It's all speckled out. Well, that's gross looking. The TPO doesn't do this. It's not going to look like this. You're not going to get all that mess. And then also, you can see they bolted this air conditioner right to the roof. That's what it is. There's the bolts right there, and they slobbered it with more of that self-leveling stuff. They come over here. There's another bolt right there. That's all they do. They screw it right to the roof deck, which doesn't make sense. You know, they slobber it. They expect it to not leak. But up underneath there, you can see. I'll back up a little bit. All that debris, just pollen, dirt, dust, is all going to get caught up inside that underside of this AC. It's going to inhibit it draining, and also it will dry out that gasket. There's a foam gasket up underneath here, and it'll dry it out. When it dries it out, and you get leaks, and they're chronic. They're real slow. And then you'll notice some problems. And by the time you notice it, you obviously got to rip it out. So, but you get a little bit of wonkiness going on with this roof here. You can see where the water's been ponding right there. So you can see where it's trying to come around. But we're going to see if we can straighten that out, if there's something that we can do. I don't try to go out of our way to really do something that isn't going to really make a big difference. If it's not going to make a big difference, if it's not an issue, I don't want to start tearing someone's wallet apart because the roof is off a quarter of an inch or whatever, something minute that is not going to make a big deal. But typically, like ponding water, you don't want to have that. Ponding water on a commercial level or any by definition means water that is not evaporated off the roof within 2 days. That's ponding water. But as I'm looking over here, I can see this truss is a little higher than the base of this unit here. This truss is higher than that. So I'm noticing a little bit of slumpage. But we're going to put all these up on curbs anyways. We're going to put them all up on curbs. So what they did on here, looks like they just painted the roofing. So they just brought it over, glued it to this, and just painted it. So we're going to have a white roof coming around. And let's see what we can do about all that. We got a big old satellite dish here, and we've got the wine guard antenna. We got a couple of vents. We got no covers on these vents, so we'd like to see covers on there. I don't know, we don't have that style. I always seem to have trouble finding those big ones on there, but we'll see what we can do. But you can see how the water right up underneath here, you can see how it kind of wants to trickle around going down this way. So, but anyhow, that's what we got. We're going to rip this up. Now, obviously, a few good gouges and scratches on here. So, but like I said, that's just all paint anyways. That's all they did. They paint everything. And they also paint the caulking. So they do all this, and then they just go back and they paint every single thing. So now when we go to take these apart, sometimes, you know, you have issues where you have to try to cut along whatever with a razor knife in hopes that you're cutting the paint so you can take it apart where it's not going to peel. You know, that's what we try to do. So we'll see how all that fares. We'll see how it all comes about. We do the best we can, but you know. Anyhow, that's us on our DRW. You know, but that's all they want you to do. Just keep slobbering. More on. I mean, you think about it. Why would you have to go around and recaulk everything every 3 to 4 months? There's no reason for that. On a commercial end, you wouldn't do that. There's no way you could afford, if you were a building owner, you know, or even a plant, going around redoing all of your vents, all your, you know, the blowers, every protrusion coming through the roof every 3 to 4 months. You couldn't do that. By the time you finish one side, you'd be doing another, you know, coming back around again. That's just crazy. It's because the products they use are just cheap, and the sun just destroys them. There's no properties built into any of these caulkings that they use, these self-leveling, to fight back UV light, and then they just start breaking down. So Dicor, theirs, they say there's petroleum distillates in there, which is not good for the roof. That's why it doesn't stick. But then they say, well, it'll evaporate off. Well, as you can see, it doesn't, and they still have not reformulated it. They know it's junk. They know it. So, I mean, why fix it if everybody's still naive enough to buy it? So, anything we use here, we're going to be putting a commercial roof on. Everything we use, even the caulkings, everything, are all commercial. Everything is all commercial. I don't put any RV. If this is RV, don't buy it. Even the coatings. Coatings don't work. We don't do coatings. If they worked, I'd do them. They don't work. Not on these cheap roofs, especially a rubber roof. You don't want to put it on a rubber roof of all roofs. You know, rubber is just a fickle animal. It just doesn't like a lot of things. It's too much prep. And then you still can't guarantee it. And even if it does, well, you know, if it does get a leak, which it will, but when it does, it'll travel up underneath the coating. And you may have a leak showing up down here, and it's actually coming from up here. So, all right, let's get to work and see what we got underneath this thing. So we took the insert trim out. Then we're on the passenger side. So we took the trim out. You can see all this scaling right here. That's really coming from this air conditioner, and that's what happens. Now this will get all degraded out from the sun sitting on this, because this is a ponding water issue. Well, we'll say there's water on it. Maybe not necessarily ponding. May not be here for 2 days. But what happens when you have that water built up like that and it sits here, because you can clearly see it turns into a magnifying glass, and that starts to deteriorate the roof. So the other thing I was looking at is none of these screws are sealed. Not one screw is sealed. And then you start coming down this way, and you see they're all getting all rusty. All these are all rustified. Look at this one here, not even in right. These aren't even the right screws to use for this. That's a bugle head screw. You don't use a bugle head screw on this, unless you countersink it. So we got decking on here now. I know I had a video floating around somewhere. I think someone said it was up on YouTube. The last one we did, the last Mobile Suites who did, the customer sent me a video, and he said that Mobile Suites glues and screws these decks down, but they also use half-inch decking. I don't know if that's the case. I don't believe this is half-inch, but we're going to find out. We'll see. You know, but obviously it's screwed. I don't believe it's glued though. This isn't glued. So why would they glue the decking and not the shoulder? So this was the shoulder. That's why he said they have it on here. They just painted it. That's all they did, just to match the coach. It's just cheap old rubber. This is what you call unstructured. See how floppy it is? It's just all like you can do all that, and you bring it back and you go, ta-da! That's unstructured. The products that we use, it's structured, meaning it has a weave in it. It's got a mesh built into it, which helps resist against hail and tree branches and things like that. It's a lot stronger. But on certain applications, now the rubber is going to lay much flatter. Even if you have like a roof that's kind of going up. I've done some fifth wheels where it goes up and then it'll kind of level off, then drop down real sharp in the front. And you know, and then it's got camber going this way. The rubber sits better. And some of when we try to do it, I have to do it sometimes in 3 pieces. I've done them in 2. But my point is that with that mesh and that reinforcement that's built into the TPO membrane we use, the commercial one, it doesn't like to do that dance. It won't do it. But it's a much better product. So that's why we have to do the extra pieces to it. It'll get on there. We can get it smooth, of course. But I'm saying it's not going to go on there and then go down this way and that. And you'll see sometimes on the videos that I do, you'll see, like probably on here as well, you'll see it. I'll show you right here. Look at this here, and you can see how it starts to drop down on the front. So more than likely, we're going to have at least a feint, what we call bird's mouth, and I may have to take it, pinch it together, and then I fold it over and I weld it. But that's a possibility. This isn't that aggressive, so we'll see how it wants to lay. And also on this roof, it's not that aggressive in the arch. So all of that is a factor. So I don't know if you can see that hump right here that I'm looking at. And look at it compared to, see, the air conditioner. That air conditioner looks like it's sitting a little low. But we'll see what's all up underneath there. Got a router in here as well. But we'll see what's all in there. I just want to try and give you some updates on all this stuff. You know, but these, like you said, these are the wrong screws to this. You know, you should be using either a truss head, or you could use, let's see, a wafer head, you know, or even just a regular sheet metal screw in itself is going to be a lot better choice than these. So these are the big old bolts that they use to hold it down. They just drive it right through the roof. Hopefully they got part of the frame, I don't know. So now we're taking the air up. What we do is we mark every single wire. So we know what we're taking apart. We get all this colored tape. So we make all these, everything's marked before we take it apart. Boom, boom, boom. This way we know exactly where it goes back together. And you see we even got some paint down in there. But it just comes apart before it does, we tape it up, and then we know. Well, they did put some glue on here, and but it just didn't take very well. So, and that's why you saw that puckering. And also, the way they put that on this shoulder that was on here, I don't think they got it like real even. It was kind of squirrely, like it had some, it was coming up a little bit over like this in the areas. So, but also this is just 3/8 decking. That's all this is, 3/8, and it's not glued. They just screwed it down. So they just screwed it all down with these little tiny screws. Right there. But it's going through aluminum, so I mean, as long as it went through that, that would have been fine. But you know, you can see some of them didn't go in too straight. But it's not glued. It really needs to be glued. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to straighten this up. I don't even know if we need this here. We don't. There's nothing underneath there. We may end up, if there's something under here, probably. So there's no duct work, which there may be here, but we don't need that. That could get chopped off. But these are the cheap little aluminum trusses. Here's another deal. Had another issue on the same DRW. They just put, I call these snot welds. You can see it right in the back here. It just got a little tiny weld in there, and that's why it breaks. So they should have put one here and here, but they don't do that. That's a little bit more work they need to do. So here comes all your air right here. It's coming out, and you want to have nice airflow going this way, right? Well, check this out. They stopped it. There's a duct to continue this way. Instead of taking this, which is what we're going to do, we're going to take this here and we're going to bridge it up like that, break that loose. We're going to put a piece of foam or something underneath here that's 1.5 inches to bridge it so it goes proper. Same with this. We're going to kind of fix this mess and straighten it out so it flows nice. And we're going to check all the joints. This is just foam. So what happens, these wires, see the indent right there? You got to protect these. So we're going to put some protection on it to make sure that they won't keep rubbing in here, because eventually they will bore a hole in these. You see them right here too. So they will. So that's what we're looking for. Then they do have protection going through the aluminum frame with these plastics. That's the other thing we look for. I want to make sure, but also the tape, like in here, we'll make sure all this is taped up real tight. This is our opportunity to do it. We want to make sure, see, like right here, we want to make sure this is all sealed up nice so we don't have an issue down the road, because how are you going to get to it? You can't get to it any other way. I mean, you'd either take sealing out or the roof off to get it fixed. So we want to do it now. This is why we take the decking off. You can see nothing was glued to this roof. So some of these manufacturers say you don't glue anything on there because they want it to have some flexibility. Well, you need to glue them down because energy is going to get deflected somewhere, and they're going to get deflected back into these screws and into this really light aluminum. What'll happen is it'll waller out these holes. So imagine putting a screw in there, and it's light. This isn't that thick. You could sit there and wiggle this screw around. Eventually, you don't even have to unscrew it. It'll come right out. And that's typically what happens. You'll see some of them start to raise up. So we're going to glue it down so all the energy now, when it does want to rack and shift, is going to be absorbed by the adhesive that we use. So it's a flexible adhesive. It's not, some people think when you put down the adhesive that it's going to be so tight and strong that the adhesive in itself gets hard. We don't use that. We use a flexible adhesive so it will have some give. So it'll kind of move around. You have to on these for sure. So like I said, that's what we're doing now. We're checking all that, checking wires, checking everything, and seeing what it is. I don't know what this is. I'd like to find out what that is. But looks like some sort of fan. But if it is a fan.
what is that fan going to do? Where is it going to exhaust? So now I got to go back inside, and I'm wondering if this is a fan for, I don't think it's the bathroom. I don't know if it's the kitchen. I'm trying to see where I'm at. I think the bathroom's over there. I don't know, I'll check it out and find out what it is, but whatever is exhausting, it's exhausting it back up into the roof. Now that's just plain stupid. You need to have that, whatever it is, whether it's a, I don't know if it's be a stove or what. It doesn't look like a stove type. Usually they're on the outside, so I don't know. I'll go check, see what it is, but my guess is that it's probably for the ceiling fan, for maybe in the bathroom. If that is the case, you're blowing steam into your attic area. Basically, call this an attic area. It's not going to go anywhere. So let me check that out. When I find out more, I will report back. So again, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. We're going to vacuum all this nonsense up. Look at here. Look at there. Hey, that's all compromised. We're going to fix all this. Look at that. So this thing breaks. If we did not take this roof off, and some people say, oh, yeah, you can spray over this thing. You're going to spray over all of this nonsense that needs to be fixed before you go down the road, because you're going to have to do something with it afterwards. If those spray-on systems worked, when I did commercial work, I had sprayers, I had machines for metal. I mean, I had $100,000, you know, into just different machines, right? If it worked, I'd go buy a machine. It doesn't work. That's why I don't do it. This is for pound for pound, dollar for dollar. This TPO system that I designed and put on here is the best for your money. But you still, some places don't want to tear up the roof. You have to tear the roof up because the manufacturers, every one of them, not just DRW, which is touted to be one of the best, the top of the line, yada, yada, yada. This is the work they're putting out on this big old coach. I bet this coach probably $200,000 when it was new. That's crazy. That's the best quality you can get? That's shameful. That probably explains why I don't have any sponsors. So look here, another one, right? This is for the air conditioner. You need this strength back in here, so I gotta fix that, you know? So we got one more sheet we're gonna get off of here, and then, like I said, we're gonna go around, check all the duct work, tape everything up, yeah, all that stuff that I just went over. So here's another, look at the size of that gap. All your cold air is coming up in here. If all your cold air is coming up into what I'm calling this the attic area, and it's underneath your hot decking, well, you blow cold into heat, you're gonna get moisture. That doesn't make sense. But they don't care. Get it built, get it out, get it sold. And if you need one of these, that came from the ceiling for here, because they don't even clean anything when they deliver it to you. And the same thing, see how this is bridged down? I want to get these all back right the way they're supposed to be. So we're probably going to cut a whole bunch of blocks and get this thing all shifted the way it should be. So, alright. We'll be back with more DRW. Ta-da! Let's find out what that thing was. There it is. That's the blower. It's a fart fan. That's just blowing it back up inside the top of the coach where it got no place to go. It just lingers in there. You better hope somebody's on a keto diet or something like that, or it's still gonna get festive in here. Well, we're gonna fix that mess too. Well, we made all our repairs, so we've got all that. What we did is we bridged up. Well, not on that one. But over here you can see we put some foam in there to balance out the pieces. We did it to all of them, and all the way down, just to kind of shim it. This one here, that's your intake, but we also sealed this because there was a big crack in there, so we get that. We put them on all of them. This one here is a big trunk line, so hard to get a brace under it, and there's an outlet there too. So any place that looked like it was sagging or not right. And the other thing we did, we put aluminum pieces, that black piece you see there. This is a piece of aluminum to protect so it doesn't rub in. We just taped it on there on both sides so it doesn't rub into the ductwork. So we got all that. We checked all our wires. And then the other thing we did is we fixed, go back this way, trying not to go too fast with the camera, but this one here was broke, so we stitched it back over, put a couple screws in that with a piece of aluminum, stainless steel screws, taped all these back up because every single one of them fell down. We don't want them chafing on top here. So we get that. And then this was the fart fan. So I got this here, and then I'll make a boot for it, and I'll bring it up, and we'll put something on there. Just haven't figured that out yet, how I'm going to do it. But anyhow, I got that, so it's going to come out of the roof. There was another one actually down here. Hopefully we got this one squared away too. There was another one down here. But we'll look for that one. So, yeah, there it is. You can see it right in there. maybe. You can see we got the pipe in there. You see that silver pipe? It's just flexible duct, that's all. It's just a duct work. So now again, we're just putting on all the insulation, and once we get that, we can put the decking on and we can start getting this roof together. All right, we're getting our roof deck down. You see all the glue we got in there. We're gonna screw it all down. We're getting there. A couple more sheets, then we can start getting the roof together. Alrighty, so now, looking at some of this plywood, you'll see it kind of got a little dip in the center in some of these. So what we're doing is going to put some of these blocks in there to take that out. So when this shoulder sits on, it's going to sit nice and straight without trying to follow that contour, because if it does, it's going to want to kink. So like maybe you can see right here, maybe we're going to get one in here. That's a little low. You kind of see it. So that's what I'm doing. You can definitely see one down here. This one is. So, and then the other thing we did, we had some tape on these, and then I come by and you see there's a piece there. Tape all came off. So I said the heck with it, I went and got some double-sided tape instead. I thought the tape may hold it, but it didn't want to hold too well. So we took it all off, put the double-sided tape on the back of them, even though that one's got tape, put some on in there. And then, you know, we just want to make sure these wires stay up so they don't chafe against this here, and you know, as it's driving at all, even though that's not overly sharp, but that's the whole purpose of these, keep them off the frame like that. So we want to make sure we do that. And so that's what we're doing now, is straightening all that out. There's another intake that we taped off because that's the pole, and we didn't want to try to get in some air that it doesn't need, you know, the wrong air. You keep it more efficient this way, so it's pulling it right from the cabin instead of kind of in this attic area at all. If anything gets in there, it'd be hard, I guess, to get air in there. But nonetheless, that's the way we do it. We do it right. So we're going to get all these tightened up. See, that's kind of snug. And then we'll put that on there. And once I get that, then we'll put our shoulder on here. I made a fancy-dancy jig, and that jig, what it does, it keeps that shape perfect. And then I made another tool that aligns it. I made all these tools to make sure it all comes together. All right, well, we have got the passenger side. That's all done glued and rolled out, obviously. Now, obviously, we got the driver's side. We're going to roll over, and we're going to start putting curves in and start putting this thing together. So we've got it all there. You can see all our protective strips on the edge. We've got them all down there. Those are the black strips you see. We got all the shoulders done. So then what we did is we salvaged these shoulders. They were a little bit of work, but saved them a couple of bucks. But we took them down and we hemmed these back over. That's why it's nice and smooth. We don't need a protector strip on there because it's all smooth. So we're good with that. So now all we got to do is just roll it out, start getting curves and getting this thing reassembled. This is the toy hauler part of our big mobile suites DRW. I got to show you the roof. The roof's already done, but we had to move all this scaffold because we got other problems. So what we got, we pull this up. That's rotted. And this bottom plate of the wall may possibly be rotted. But we're rotted all the way over to the corner here. Right in the corner. All the way down there. So we gotta tear it up and see what's going on with it and see what all we need to fix. But there's a piece of the wood actually right here. This is what we tore out. This is still damp. Hey, so the leak that we've got in that toy hauler part is right there by this back tire. It's actually a little further back, more by this door. So there's the bathroom window. There's a little vanity there with a sink, and we checked that, dry as a bone. So the water's obviously coming in from somewhere, and although we can do the repair, what's the sense of doing the repair if we can't find out what the leak was? So there is a possibility that it could be coming down from here and then trickling in. And this was a chronic leak. This wasn't a leak like, whoa, we got a leak. We noticed it within the last week or so. You may notice the rot, but it's been going on for a long, long time. So a lot of these screws are all rusted. So that's kind of indicative that you've got water that got behind all these screws. Then as we get down, you see this one here, but also there's no sealant. See it? It's really thin. And I haven't even tried prying this apart at all. All I did was take a little nylon brush and sweep it away so I could show you. Then down here, that one there is really rusty there. You got some surface rust, and all of these. So I'm going to take this off. I just want to investigate up underneath there and see how good or bad it is or what's going on. I got to take all these screws out. So now I get all the screws out. Look how easy that comes right off. Look how easy that comes right off. Now I want to see if it's wet in here. So that's what I'm looking for. I need to find a source before we just start fixing stuff. You can hear they're in there fixing it anyways, but we still got to find a source. Let me do some more searching around, see if there's any dampness somewhere. Maybe I got down in that way. Alright, so I think I found something. I'm hoping this light, I can get this light in here to show you. I may have to get a stick or something to hold this open. Yeah, you could, you see those little lines coming down there? Right there below the screws? Those are water lines. You can see some of it right in there. See if I can get this maybe a little better. You can see this one here. See it right there below the screw? That's who it's coming in. And this piece right here, there's a piece right here that is wet. Yeah, it's a damp. So down there it seemed to dry up, but all it takes a little bit, a screw or something like that, over the years. Who knows how long it's been leaking. You can see some black water staining in there. I don't really want to take this whole piece off if I don't have to. So I'm going to assess it and see what it is, because if that's the case, I'll take the door off. I'll have to take the fender off and release this, take that door off, all of this, everything got to come off to release this, a J panel, and it wraps all the way up underneath there. I didn't really want to have to do all that if I don't have to. I'm hoping if I can open it up enough, maybe I can just get a blower in there or something to try it out. But let me assess it up. I obviously don't want to close it up with water in there either, right? So let me see what's going on with it.
It goes all the way.
All right, so we decided to take this piece loose because I wanted to see how wet it was. If it was my coach, I'd want to know. So this is kind of wet. So then this is our floor right there from the inside. That's all soaked. So we already got most of that apart on the inside, so this is just crumbs right here. This is good over on this side, but you can see all that. That's all the water is. You can see all the, I was showing you the water lines that were coming down on the board. Is there any on this one?
You can see them.
Yeah, you can see a couple over here, trickling down. That's what these are, water stains from the screws.
Right above the screw.
Yep. We'll pop this panel down and get rid of some of this stuff. I want to make sure it's not all wet. You can see all the rust down inside there. It looks like we got some other wood down here. I want to check this too. That's already rotted out over there. So this looks like this little stick frame. We're going to check all this stuff. We'll take it all apart.
Well, we've got the floor, we've got that in there. So what we did so far, really, from looking at it, is, well, again, we got the floor in. We slid it in from this way. But also we got this paper on here to protect it. So now any water, if it ever did leak again or break, then it would at least get away from there and not kind of roll back up underneath the floor. We also reframed all this over here. We had to reframe this here. We used a composite on this. That's all composite type material, so we won't have that issue again. Everything's all glued and secured together. You know, that's all that you see is glue. And same thing over here, we reframed and fixed some of this over here. So we get that. Now all we're doing is probably just going to put a little paint on here, just as a prudent measure on some of the wood, like right there and right there, that we didn't have to really mess with. Just so it doesn't, it's just to protect it as a prudent measure, like I said. And then we're going to put in our that's called a J panel. We'll put that on, then we'll caulk it, and then we'll get everything done. I'll show you what we did in the inside. So we should be ready to go. We're going around doing caulking around this whole entire coach. We went around the windows. Also, we went around here, put some extra caulking behind there, and obviously got all the J panel, that piece that comes around, it hooks under, that's called a J panel.
So we got all that done. And then the other thing that we do is there's a cap that goes on here. It's just a little L piece. And the problem with it is that it's typically 1 inch. 1 inch. So when the water hits it, if this coach isn't perfectly level, what happens is water will run back into there. And then you can start getting some rot. So we always change these out when we do a reseal. And now this is all sealed inside here. So if water gets down on this track, it's going to run out. That's what we need it to do. It's got a little kick to it on here. Okay, so that's to catch all the water, let it run out. So that's what we're working on. And then, as you can probably see, let me get right in there. Yeah, this one is. That's all it was. 1 inch piece. It went down and it returned. It was just an L. So like I said, water can get in there and it can rot that out. This is just a shade punky, meaning like it's probably at the pre-rot, if you will, or decomposing, if you will. I look for a better word, but it's not rotted. We're catching it just in time, but it's got some water stain on it. So this is pretty good. So we're all right with that. We opened it up, sprayed it with mold kill just to be sure, squirted it all down. But like I said, we're going to go up underneath here. We seal every single daggone screw in these things. You know, even these up in here, everything gets sealed. You can actually see some of the rings of the caulking that we got around there, you know. So anyhow, that all said, this is the side we're looking at right here. This is the driver's side. We come around here to the passenger side, and we got this little tiny mini slide out. And this is all rotted. Let me get this out of the way. This is all rotted right here. That's junk. That is. You see all that. So the bad part about this, it's not just right there. So again, all the water got down through there, soaked in, and rotted the floor out. That's why we change them. But it's rotted all the way to this roller. You see that roller in there. So now if we don't fix it, this thing is not going to balance well, and eventually it's just going to get worse. Because now there's no strength to it, and the slide out is not going to operate properly. So now we got to try to figure out how we're going to address this floor issue here. So, and these are some of the things when you're watching our channel, and we appreciate it. If you got a coach coming in, we don't expect all this. The customer didn't, really think or didn't tell us that he wanted it caulked and sealed, but when we brought it to his attention, he was like, "Well, okay, you got to get it done. Well, do it." So we can't just say, all right, well, we can't do it, get it out of here. We don't do that. And now, like I said, we get this floor issue. It's all those little things that just add time to how long a coach stays here. As much as I like to try to get it done quickly and get them out, it takes time to fix all this stuff. So, we appreciate everybody's patience, knowing that we just run into it. These things always have problems. So, some are worse than others. But anyhow, we do the best we can to move them along. So we're going to try and figure that mess out, and then we'll give you an update on it. Like I said, I know the roof's down, I just haven't done a video on it, but everything up there came out awesome. So, but I'll do it before the video closes. All right, here's what we got. It's called rot. Rot. If there's enough there, you could put a couple of T's at the end of that. Rot-ted. All the way down. So, you can see all that in there. Yeah. So we're going to peel her out. Alrighty. Wow, that is a mess. That's why I say caulk your coaches. Look at that there. Boy, that is. Alright, well, you get the idea. It's rotted. Let's get her out and get a new piece in.
Well, this is the old platform. You see how rotted that one is. So we had no choice but to replace it. I mean, and a lot of this, the problem with this is that it was, the slide out was not caulked or sealed properly. Had it been caulked and sealed properly, I'm sure this wouldn't have happened. That's generally what causes all this. You can see it rotted right here on the edge. So all that water come down. So we made a new one, and we're going to be popping that in here. Let's see here. Walk around this way. There's our new one right there. So we're going to get ready to throw this in. put it all back together.
Alright, on this mobile suites that we're doing here, this is a slide out right here. You can see the slide out coming out, obviously stairs going in. And what they did is they put a little scupper in this. I'll do a flashlight for you. I had the same problem on the other 2017 mobile suites that we did a while back. And there's that scupper. See it? What it is, that little pocket, which is a great idea. So when water comes down, it's supposed to go through here and then drain out right here. So what they did, I may still need the light possibly here. See that? I don't know if you can see this right here. That is foam. What they did is they blocked up the hole. And I think what they were trying to do is prevent it from going back in this way and to drain out this way. That's what I think they did. I already tore a chunk of it out. And what it'll do is it'll cause that thing to back up the wrong way. Let me see where that little chunk went that I just pulled out. But anyhow, it's just foam. But this needs to come out right here. So if you have one of these, you can hear it. If you have one of these, you need to take that foam out so that scupper, a little drain, whatever you want to call it, so that little scupper right here, and that's where it is that you can barely see it. I'm having trouble getting the camera in there, but it's actually like right here. But it'll drain out properly. Right now it's clear. And then you just got to make sure this part here is blocked so that water doesn't want to go back that way. And that's the problem we have with the last one, but they did such a horrible job we had to take a whole bunch of stuff apart. Then the other concern I have is I want to make sure it's not going to go behind this piece, which runs up underneath the hole, this termination for the sweep gasket, that it doesn't run behind all that. You can see some of the water right there that we've already poured. We just poured that down, so it's going down here. I don't want it to go there, I want it to come out. So it's getting redirected, and what will happen eventually is if there's like these screws, if they're not all sealed, then that'll just cause a rot. And then we'll have another problem. So we're going to get up underneath there and check all that out. It's the same on the other side too, on the other side of this slide, and then we'll check the other scuppers if the other ones have them. So this one comes and drops down, this slide does. And what we did is we made those edge bands here, these pieces here. We made those with a rake so they come down, so when the water hits, it'll drain down and out. But they were hitting right there, which is okay. We can make an adjustment for it, but that's what I found under there, and I don't want to keep redirecting water where it doesn't want to go or where it's not supposed to go. We got to kind of correct that problem. And like I said, on the opposite side of this slide, we got the same issue. So I want to check that out, because that would be a lot of work to have to tear out another slide out floor. And actually this, if it leaked, it would leak back into the main floor. That would be more of an issue, because then you definitely have to take slide out to get it all that to fix it. So that's what we're looking at right now. Like I said, I had the same problem with that. The other problem I had while I got you here, I guess while I get the camera on, we did that slide out floor over here. We did the slide out floor on this. So that's the one that we fixed. But over here, the other problem that I saw, if you have one of these mobile suites or any camper, at the top up here, when you're sitting here and you got the shower just hitting your shoulders, it's going to bounce up and it'll go behind here and it'll rot that wall out. So we sealed all that, and then we also got this on much better, because this was loose as a goose. So there's just a shower hold, it's not really a handle. And all they did was they put a board, someone held a board behind there, they put a screw in, and we took that out, the screw fell out, and then we had to put new mounts in it. But we got all this back secure, you know, this is going to stay. And then we sealed it. We sealed all around the faucet. We sealed all around everything. But again, the top part of that wall, that's where the water's going to hit and it won't be able to roll. This doesn't have like a ramp on it or any sort of angle. It's just squared off. So that water will rest on there. And you don't want it to get behind this shower. You get behind that shower, you're going to have a whole host of problems. because then you're going to tear a lot of stuff out. So we got all that squared away too. But you got to understand, get it built, get it out, get it sold. That's all they care about. It doesn't matter how much you spend on these things. They don't care. They just want your money. Goodbye. See ya. They'll forget your name when you when you have problems, and they'll remember your name when you want to buy a new one. This is our slide out right here. And then we release the awning, just set it up there for now. And what we're going to do, we're checking all this tape, and you can see some of it's compromised. That was a little bit. This right here was here. You can see a few spots. So what's happening is this gasket, when it comes in, it keeps hitting the tape, and it'll start pulling it. So we're going to put yet another wider piece of tape on there. Then we're going to seal it, so this way it'll ride up on the caulking that we're going to use and hit that. That'll be a lot stronger than the edge of this tape, and then that'll solve that problem. And we've got that one over there to do, and I think we got a couple more to look at on the other side of the coach.
We are done with our big mobile suites DRW. Full house. It is done. We got our logo on there. October of 22. I'll reach up there. This is a tall one. So we put that on there as a marker, so then when they come back for inspections, then we can see what's going on with it. You know, check it out. If there's any issues, yada yada yada. We know how long the roof has been on here. You know, this is obviously going down the road, and all the years that we do the inspections. We want to see them come back. Ideally, we like to see these come back 30 to 60 days just to do an initial inspection. That's what we're looking for. Just to make sure everything's tight, everything's okay. You know, I got to depend on products and installation, things like that, and I want to make sure that we're doing everybody, you know, the right way, what they paid us to do. So there's a 60 mil commercial grade TPO. That's what this is. It's the same product you're going to find on hospital, library, a restaurant. Same exact installation. So my background is commercial roofs, and when I design these roof systems, I just design them so they'll fit and function properly for, you know, obviously an RV. So if you were to get up on a commercial roof, you would see like these boots. These are very similar to what you would see in a commercial application. These people are calling these standouts. They're called curbs. That's what the air conditioner is sitting on, a curb. So I custom make every single curb for everything. It's all fabricated here. So we got the stands behind there. That just gives us some balance, and then we got a piece of counter flash up in the front. So the purpose of that counter flash up in the front, when the rain comes down, well, let's back up. Up underneath here is a foam gasket. That's all that protects this thing. That's the way the RV industry does them. When they normally put them down, this one was just screwed right to the roof. That's crazy. So the way we design these ones, when you take the cover off, you can see the bolt patterns in there, and there are machine screws that I put in there with a mounting plate that I designed. So now if they ever had any trouble with this, they can take this air unit off and they can put another one on, no problem. They're not gonna, it's gonna bolt right up. So, but when the water comes down from here, if you're driving, especially if you're driving in the rain, you're going to get all that blowing rain going back into your foam gasket, and we don't want to have that. So what this piece of counter flash does is it goes below, on the curb there is counter flash. It goes below it, so it'll stay away from that foam gasket. So up under, you see this little lip edge hanging off. That little lip edge hanging off, that's your counter flash. So now when water is coming in from this direction here on the vent, as you're traveling 70 miles an hour, you get a lot of water blowing across the roof. It'll want to try to ride up on the curb, but it's going to get directed around. That's the whole purpose of it, and it minimizes an erosion effect. So we've got the plumbing right there. This, if you remember earlier, we had an exhaust fan inside that just went up and blew into the insulation, so I put a fan on here. And the same with down the other end. I'll walk down there as well. And then the same thing with this air conditioner. It's set up the same way. Same thing with that vent. And then this is the other exhaust fan. So we get that. Then obviously some plumbing over there. And then some of the scaffolds pulled apart because we've been doing a lot of work on it. And we had to reseal everything. We went around, so we got 2 strikes up on here. We resealed every single daggone thing on this coach, every single screw. We went around every single thing. Like, we took slide outs out, you know, obviously opened them up,
took all the screws that were exposed, caulked them all back in, screwed them all back together. It was a very, very long process. It's tedious, but it needs to be done. So the wine guard antenna, that's what that is. It's an automatic antenna, and I made some mounts for those. And if there was ever an issue with this antenna, you can just take a 9/16 wrench, undo all three of those. There's 3 bolts. You can see one there, one there, and then up underneath you'll see the other one on the other side. So, and you just undo the coax, go in, buy a new one, drop it on. I like those. I like the way they mount. I think overall they're better to install than some of the bat wings, like, see if you can see this bat wing over here on this other coach, like that. I mean, I can put those on. I've done many of them, but sometimes if you get a tree branch that'll clip that head off, then you got to dig out all the caulking, you got to dig everything apart, you got to clean it down, go buy one, try to reseal it. It's just time consuming. So the over here on there's your skylight right there, and then there's right beside there the skylight, this one, not this one here, but that one, and then on the other side right over there, that's another one of these exhaust fans. And we put that in there. I designed that, and what it is basically it's a skylight ventilation system. So especially now with the weather getting colder, you may have a little bit of frost up on top of that skylight, and then what happens is that when the sun comes up, it'll evaporate that off. But up underneath it, in between the inner skylight and under the actual skylight, there's a cavity in there, but that's not going to get evaporated. And what happens is the water will condensate and roll down the inside edge of the skylight, and a lot of times you'll find that the roof deck is rotted, or you'll have some moisture or rot around your actual ceiling in the skylight area. And that's due to because it's chronic. It's not something that's happening like with a flood or something, obviously. It's just droplets that keep getting there, and basically that would turn into what they call dry rot. When you have a little bit of moisture that dries right up, but it's rotting it. So this is a ventilation system. So when the sun comes up, even it's the same thing as this one, except this one isn't. I mean, it'll come on with the fan, with the solar. This is solar. But the fan underneath, when they turn the fan on, it'll spin that propeller anyways and exhaust it out. But that's what we got over there, same thing. And when that one kicks on, it'll draw the air up, over, and around, and then out it goes. So it'll always keep it dry. So as long as the sun is up, it's going to keep going all day long. So you can see we also designed this huge satellite. These are a lot of work, but I like them to fit the whole satellite. I shape it all around so it looks like it was made for the dish, instead of just putting a big square block up there and having it look kind of clumsy. Obviously got some wires over there that's what feed it. So they're all in boot, so nothing can leak. It's done. It's all sealed up. That's the way it should be. So then we have the insert trim. This insert trim, it snaps in and over. And I have a lot of people ask me, hey, can you sell this? Well, we don't sell anything. We don't sell anything at all. We're just a service center. But you can't buy this anyways. I have to buy it, and when I order it, I have to get 2 miles at a time. And again, we just don't sell anything at all. We don't sell any curves. We don't sell anything. We're just a service center. I got enough work to do, and we got enough paperwork to do. I'm not going to get into doing all the sales on these things, and then having to do all the sales tax and all that other stuff. So we just stay away from all that stuff. So like I said, I'll bring the camera down, maybe show you some more stuff that we fixed. But we fixed, was it over this way? That's the toy hauler part that we fixed the floor. And that's got a rubber mat in it, so going in there to show you that, you're not going to see anything anyways. So then we fixed the slide out as well on that other side. I know we did that one over there. So that one rotted. Other than that, we are done. Let's see if I can find a piece of roofing maybe. I was going to show you what it looks like, and my shop is a mess, but that's because we're working hard. So let me see if I can find one. I'll show you what it is, what the material is. But this is just a 60 mil commercial grade. It's called structured, and it has a weave in it. And that mesh and that weave that's in it is what keeps gives it its strength. Here's a piece right here. Actually, here's a piece. Now, there's a piece of cutoff, but this one would probably be better to look at. You can see all those little squares in there. That's the mesh that's in there. You can see little strands right there by my finger. And that's what gives it its strength to resist against like hail and resist against, you know, tree branches and, you know, things like that. So we sealed all of this. We sealed all these screws. We sealed that. We sealed all around the windows. We sealed everything. Everything is sealed. So we also checked. That's what we were doing the last time. I forgot the last clip. We had done the tape on there. We put new tape on all 4 sides of these on the slide outs, inside and out. We checked the inside, and we did what we needed to do in the inside. They may not have gotten the whole strip, but maybe sections. And then on the outside of these ones, we had put new tape on these. That was a little bit of work. So this is what I was talking about on the antenna. You can just take these off, boom, boom. They're all galvanized, so they won't rust. And then this is the ventilation system. So the air will come down and get pulled by this fan, and it'll come down and it'll come up and over. There's a trough that we made inside there. Yes, if you're looking at this, we have no screws, and I would highly recommend you don't put them in. You're going to get fractures in here. These are, I don't think these were ever designed to really be screwed down, because every single one I've seen that gets screwed down ends up cracking. They expand and contract too much, and you'd have to really drill those holes out, and you'll start seeing little fractures coming in. So we just glue them down now. So, and then this is a little Wi-Fi box. So I made this one as well. So we make everything, you know, fabricate everything here. And then we go. This is basically is gonna happen because you're coming over and you're coming down. So imagine you took a sheet of paper and you come on down like that. If you did, you'd have a little crinkle and a fold. We call that a fish mouth in the industry. And then what we have to do is just kind of squeeze it together and weld it back. And we don't cut it; we just weld it on there, just to kind of make up the slack. So, but it's an awesome roof system, pound for pound, dollar for dollar. You're going to get, you know, TPO is going to be the way to go. You know, that's for sure. Just trying to make those a little straighter, I guess. But then we got 2 strikes of caulking down here. So this gutter is already sealed behind here. Then what we do is when we push that in and put the screws in there, and actually I hate taking this apart because this stuff is really, really rigid compared to the white that we use. But anyhow, when we do put the screws in, get this all up there, some of this will burp up and we strike that down. Once we strike that down, we wait for it to cure, we go over it with a strike. When that cures, we go over to it with yet another strike. But if I were to take this apart, you'd see every single screw is sealed. Every single screw has a little grommet of caulking all around it. So you want to make sure these things stay, you know, watertight for sure. All that damage on the other side of this garage on the floor, that was due to the coach not being sealed. And my guess is that was from 2017. That's what this is, the 2017. So you can see in just a few years, if you neglect this, what'll happen. You start running into some serious problems. So I strongly recommend caulk them. So one of the reasons why I don't always give all this advice and all this stuff is because there's a lot of preparation. And if you don't do things just right, then they're not going to work. So your products that you use or that you select, they all have to be installed or applied according to the proper procedures. And usually you can find all that on a tech data sheet, but generally you need to clean these down real well. Sometimes if you have silicone on there on your coach currently, you have to dig all that out, and that's time consuming because silicone leaves a film behind, and that film will prevent other product from sticking. So sometimes you can break it down with some mineral spirits, but then when you put the mineral spirits on, the mineral spirits is a good product to use to break something down like a caulking or an adhesive, but it itself has what's called petroleum distillates in there. Petroleum distillates, see what I mean? This can go on and on and on, but it leaves a slickness behind. So now you have to clean out the petroleum distillates with the alcohol, denatured alcohol. And once you get all that done, hopefully you got most of it and all of that silicone. Then you can go over it with whatever. Now this is a silicone that I use, and again, I do not promote off-the-shelf silicones, but this is a commercial industrial grade.
that I use. So the other thing, even the companies, when people have asked, hey, what are you using? And I tell them, I've had a couple of customers call them and they go, oh no, you can't use that on an RV. You can if you prep it right, but they don't know anything about RVs, so how would they know? And they don't know what they're doing. They don't know about Phylon, they don't know about all these things, so you just have to prep it properly. But you know, everybody wants to have what they call plausible deniability. That's literally what it comes down to. Nobody wants to do the research themselves and try to make sure everything's working before they give the advice and make sure people are following the steps. They just want to sell product, collect your money, and go, hey, sorry about that. Not what we can do. We don't do that here. But at the same point, I just can't walk everybody through every single step that needs to be done on these coaches, because it would be very, very, very time consuming. That's why these videos aren't, I try not to make them as long, because we don't show all of the stuff that we do. You know, by the time you see this clip and the next clip, you're probably wondering, hey, what happened? Well, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I had to do to prep and so forth, especially like these curbs. You know, there's a lot of work. People say, I've had one guy say, hey, I can make those too. Good luck to you, you know. I doubt they're going to last, because I know what it takes me to do them, and I've been doing this commercial work, construction, and general structural work for decades. So I know they're probably going to leak, and I know what it takes me to weld those together. So, but anyhow, I'm trying not to ramble here. I'm going to see you on the next video, I guess. And again, we also don't quote on social media. So, you know, if you're watching the channel or whatever, you know, people, how much does this cost? How much does that cost? We don't quote all that stuff on there. That's something you'd have to call in and try to figure out if you want to schedule to come in. Now, the maintenance on these things, that's what I need to say, is the maintenance on here. You just wash this down with some dish soap, or Simple Green, whatever, just something easy. You can pressure wash this. It's really that easy to pressure wash, and it'll come clean. It'll stay that clean too if you keep up with it. It'll be nice and bright. So all right, well, we appreciate y'all watching. Okay, so I know I closed the video out, but I wanted to show you how we sealed everything. Took every single screw out and resealed every single screw. Every single screw. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Also, I wanted to make sure I thank the customer for bringing this coach to us. I can't remember where these folks are from, but we appreciate them coming all the way down here. And then the other thing I think I forgot to mention on the warranty, on the inspections, once we get through the first initial inspection, which we like to see, then we have them come back once a year. So I just wanted to see where this fine machine was from. Kentucky. It's from Kentucky. And it's a beautiful coach too. It's just a shame. You need to seal like we sealed up inside. Here, 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 everywhere. If there was a screw showing, we sealed it up. It needs to be tight. And this is where the problem came from on there. That's what I showed you earlier. All those screws right in there, they weren't sealed. And that's what caused it. So all right, well, again, we thank you for watching, and we do thank the customer for bringing this all the way to us. Really honored that people come as far as they do to have us do the work on there, and that's why we're real thorough. We're not the quickest shop, we're not known to be the fastest shop, but we are the best shop. Care package. Right. So in our care package we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick pack. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. So what you want to do, and it's raining out. Right now it's raining, you're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you try and do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes.
Just squeeze, squeeze. You want to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Get some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're gonna do, you're gonna push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're gonna go up there, and that's gonna be cured looking like that. So we're gonna take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just gonna obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're gonna do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. Hey, what are you doing? What are you gonna talk about, man? Nope, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. Oop, hit, there it is. Now you got the film. You take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That's simple. It doesn't all sit in there. You can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.